So this idea that the future ain't what it used to be, as Yogi Berra said, in some sense, almost by definition, the future is not what we think it is. Because if we knew what the future really looked like, then we could just jump there now. We would already be in that place. The reason why we're not there is because we're still headed in the wrong direction. If we think about things like AI or technology in general, the reason why we didn't get to them sooner is because we were headed in the wrong direction. We had the wrong notion and the wrong instructions, so to speak. If we think about things like artificial intelligence, a lot of people thought that we would have what I call a blind logician, that if we just encoded logic into the machine and it could do mathematics, that would be all you needed. It didn't have to see the world. It didn't have to have a camera or vision or anything like that. And what's interesting with AI is we found that to get it to reason at all, it has to know a little bit of almost everything. That we were not able to get an intelligent machine that didn't have any knowledge of the world and just could talk to you and make well-formed sentences and converse logically. No, it had to know factoids. It had to learn tidbits about almost everything. And when we think about these large language models, they had to kind of devour Wikipedia itself and lots of social media postings before they could even begin to form sentences. And then just a few years later, they were able to kind of reason about that. And so the idea is that we had it all wrong. And with things like flying cars or jetpacks, it turns out that's not what people needed or even what they wanted. They wanted cheap cars. And I think this is kind of the case all the time. If we look, for example, in the 80s and the 90s, everybody thought that the next few years that VR was going to be around the corner. But looking back on it, we didn't even have Facebook yet. And so people didn't want or need a 3D world. They needed the digital newspaper. And so when we try to predict the future now, I think we should keep in mind that it's not what we think it is. That you have to kind of go in a different direction, think about where you think it might be, and then steer somewhere deliberately off that course and try to think unconventionally, which is not easy to do. And I think that's the best way to predict the future.